Hey, good afternoon, Sheriff. This is Brett Compson. At this point, we are 5 from quorum. Governor will not be here. You will be chairing the meeting. Recommend we hold to see if we can get quorum.
Sounds good. Who does the roll call? I forget. I'm sorry.
Lauren will do that for you, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, Sheriff, just by looking at the rolls, we might be off by 1, but I suggest we go ahead with the roll call and see if a couple of phone numbers that we don't recognize are one of them.
Okay. So it's February 6th, 2026 at 14:02. I'd like to call this meeting to order and conduct the roll call. This is Sheriff Kevin McMahill, the Vice Chair, the meeting for the Nevada Commission on Homeland Security. Lauren, could you please conduct the roll call?
Lauren Borst for the record, Governor Joe Lombardo. Sheriff Kevin McMahill.
Present.
Thank you. Sheriff Darren Balaam. Colonel Kyle Serfolio.
Present.
Thank you. Todd Fasulo.
Present.
Sir. Mitchell Fox.
Present.
Thank you. Chief Fernando Gray.
Present.
Dr. Ikram Khan. Chief Richard Edwards.
Present.
Richard Perkins.
Here.
Harriet Vegas.
Present.
Chief Billy Samuels.
Present.
George Tagliati. Okay. James Chrisley. Patricia Wade.
Present.
Thank you. Bill Welch.
Present.
Karen Burke. Mike Matthews. Skip Daly.
Here.
Thank you. Chris Ibsen. PK O'Neill. Adam Miller. Brett Compston.
Present.
Christopher Delzato.
Present.
Thank you. Smith alive. Here. Thank you, Sam. Karen Burke. I saw you online. Can you verbally acknowledge you're here, please? All right, moving on, you have quorum.
Lauren, I think Karen's trying to answer you there, so I don't, Karen, we didn't hear you're present.
Okay, yes, I'm definitely here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
We
Yes,
can,
ma'am.
thank you. All right, we have quorum. Thank you. Moving on to item number 2, public comment. The first public comment is limited to comments on the items on the agenda. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under the public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person at the discretion of the chair. Comments will not be restricted based on viewpoint. To provide testimony during the period of public comment via phone, please call in anytime after 1:30 on the day of the meeting at 669-219-2599. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, please enter 202-331-8963, then press number. When prompted for participant ID, please press number. When asked to provide public comment, please press *6 to unmute your phone and *6 again when the comments are complete. This is a YouTube stream and will be between 60 and 90 seconds behind the live meeting. If you'd like to present public comment, please call in using the above number to hear the meeting live. I want to just give it a minute for that to catch up, Lauren.
Copy, sir. Quorum boards, for the record, I'm not seeing any calls coming in, sir.
Okay, nobody up in Carson?
We'll comment here in Carson, sir.
Anybody in Vegas? All right. Item 3, approval of the minutes. I want to make sure everybody had an opportunity to review the last minutes, and I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion. That's Mitch Fox.
Mitch Fox made the motion. Do I need a second?
I'll second. Patty Wade.
Patty, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, we're going to statewide National Incident Management System Compliance Report. This is information only, and I'll turn it over to Brett Compton, the Chief of the Nevada Office of Energy, Emergency Management, and Homeland Security. Brett.
Good afternoon, Brett Compton. This is a relatively quick report this quarter. 3,323 people trained, significant reduction from our historical quarterly participation, predominantly due to the federal government shutdown during the first quarter of federal fiscal year 26, for approximately 6 weeks, in which they did not run any courses, including online courses. So, any of your questions?
Any questions? We don't need any movement on that. Item number 5, lessons learned from the cybersecurity incident. Mr. Tim Galuzzi from the Governor's Technology Office, CIO, will give us a presentation. Tim?
Good afternoon, everybody. For the record, Timothy Galuzzi, State Chief Information Officer, Governor's Technology Officer, Governor's Technology Office, Office of the Governor. I'm definitely proud to be here today to help tell the story of what happened in August. I know that there's been a lot of information already put out since then. Obviously, this was a incredibly impactful event for all of us here in Nevada, and it really hit all of us. I'm not going to go into a lot of very granular detail. In the meeting packet, I included the large after action report, and there's been a lot of public testimony already regarding this incident. But today I kind of wanted to just do a more brief overall after action on this, and then really just focus on what we're doing beyond the event, and kind of the building upon the lessons learned. And so just for a little bit of background, and I guess we'll kind of start there as far as the background, and to set the stage. So the initial compromise happened in about mid-May of 2025, when an employee of the state downloaded a compromised tool that looked legitimate, that was hosted on an SEO poisoned website. And obviously, I am going to keep everything at the level that could be publicly disseminated, because this is a public forum. There will obviously be things that I still cannot disclose publicly in a forum like this. And so unfortunately, that payload was downloaded and sat on that employee's device. It was able to then be launched and was able to capture that employee's keystrokes and credentials while sitting on that employee's device for some time. This was a incredibly mature and complex attack by a very sophisticated threat actor and threat actor group. This is one of the top threat actor groups worldwide. And they were very patient. They sat in the environment for over 100 days. So they sat in the environment from May until August 24th before they finally launched their main effort, when they deleted backup information and launched their encryption on our main virtual machine environment. When they launched that encryption, that triggered our operations team to begin troubleshooting, because that act appeared to us initially as a loss of network connectivity. And during that troubleshooting activity, they found that they could not see the machines within that environment. And then eventually, once, as they were going through their troubleshooting steps, they saw the reason for the lack of visibility. We began immediately isolating the environment and launching our immediate action as we have planned for and practiced, to isolate and immediately respond to a cyber incident. And it was that immediate action that, I believe, kept this incident as even though it was as impactful as it was, isolated to where it was launched. And that was just that one virtual machine environment. And while it was a large environment that it did impact, typically ransomware type attacks, they like to spread out. They like to spread out to endpoints, and they don't stop typically in one space. They like to move laterally across to effectively anywhere that they can touch. But because the team was able to see exactly what it was as quickly as they did, we were able to effectively drop the network down on it as quickly as we could. We then notified the governor's office as quickly as we could, and got them to work on helping us prioritize recovery steps. And I believe that step right there helped us begin recovery operations as quickly as possible. We were only down for about a day and a half, as one would actually measure downtime, because that's how long all network connectivity was effectively cut off. Once we were able to rebuild some of those network components outside of the quarantine environment, we were able to start bringing up some network connectivity. And that was the official kickoff of our recovery process. So that recovery process lasted approximately 28 days. And so as we were able to start bringing up those services, though that recovery process was really based off of core infrastructure, because you need to build up that foundation in which all of the other services need to function off of. And then it is the life safety, the core business functions of the state, the direct services to constituents. And that was based off of the prioritization that we were given from the governor's office, which we wouldn't have been able to move as quickly as we could because if it wasn't for that. We were also able to move really fast because we had excess cyber liability insurance available to us. And that wasn't just because we had the knowledge that we had the funding available to us, available from that insurance. It was because of their ability to have that pre-approved vendor list via that excess cyber liability policy that helped us. And the vendors that they had, a lot of those also had procurement vehicles that the state was also able to leverage through NASPO and other contractual vehicles that allowed us to move relatively quickly. When I talk to other entities that have gone through events like this, they always ask, what did we do different? And I call that out. I call out the fact that we weren't afraid to bring in a lot of partners very quickly. And some of those partners also included our federal law enforcement partners. We brought in FBI, we brought in CISA immediately, and to include also our vendor partners. There was a dire need for intelligence during this event, and that helped and collaborating with our federal partners, collaborating with our vendor partners, and sharing that information amongst all those parties helped us get through that investigative process even faster. We could not start clearing devices out of quarantine until we knew exactly what the threat actor touched and when. And that was a big impediment for us, is we needed to know exactly what the bad guys were doing in the environment, when they did it, and what was potentially impacted. Because the last thing we needed to do was move a machine out of quarantine unless we knew exactly if it was impacted or not. Because I could imagine what the scenario would have looked like if we moved something out of quarantine and hit the reset button and started all over again. That would have been absolutely devastating. So understanding or potentially wipe a machine that could have had evidence on it that either the investigative team from law enforcement or our vendor partners could have used. And if we would have wiped it, that evidence would have been gone forever. So it was incredibly important that we saw every step of the way. And so that was incredibly time consuming. But every opportunity we had, we looked for parallel paths. And so if we had one group working on investigation, we had another group working in a known clean environment to stand up critical services. So while they were doing that, I had another group working in clean environment, making sure that they were standing up services to make sure state employees got payroll, to make sure that critical life safety systems could be stood up in a clean environment. And so it was really an all hands on deck scenario where I had folks working 18, 20 plus hour days in those first 2 weeks to fight that good fight. We were definitely in a situation in the first 2 days of this where it was incredibly dire until we brought in the right partners to really look at our scenario and determine if there was a recovery path or not. There was a scenario where we might not have been able to recover as effectively as we did. And so a rebuild would have absolutely been devastating. And that could have taken months. But thankfully, we were able to recover. And there was, you know, a really hard conversation where we had to level set expectations. If we weren't able to recover, a rebuild would have been, you know, months of time to rebuild a lot of legacy technology, and that would have been incredibly costly. Thankfully, we didn't have to go down that road. And you know, another very principled decision that was made was to pay a ransom or not. And, you know, I think I speak for a lot of folks that, you know, in the public sector, paying a ransom is very difficult. You know, when you're dealing with public funds and you're talking about potentially paying criminals to really, you know, to effectively reward them for criminal activity, you know, that is a very hard pill to swallow. And understanding that, you know, all they're going to do is continue to feed that ecosystem and reward them, and they're going to continue to victimize other individuals or other public sector organizations. You know, it was, you know, that's a very principled decision that a lot of governmental organizations, you know, have set in policy sometimes, where they say, you know, we just don't go down that road and we do not pay ransom. So that is a decision that we are incredibly proud of, that, you know, during this scenario, you know, the state of Nevada did not pay a dime in ransom to the threat actor. You know, one of the very difficult things during this event is communication. You know, during a lot of events that deal with emergency management, that deal with crisis management, constituents, they expect as much information as we have as soon as we have it. This is more akin to a law enforcement action or a military action where there is an active adversary. And that was one of the very difficult things that we had to really contend with, because the public does have a right to know what's going on with their investment in our infrastructure, with their data that we have been entrusted to secure and protect. And they're scared. They're scared of what's going on. They're scared if they're at risk. And the only way to really combat the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that they're going through is by providing reassurance to raise the level of trust. And the best way to do that is with information. And unfortunately, the adversaries want that same information. And so we had to be very cognizant of what we could and couldn't say, and when we provided that information. So we really looked at a four-step decision process before we released information. We checked to see if the information that we provided, does it help the public take action? Does it help the public make a decision that protects themselves? We would check to see if that information provides the attacker any leverage whatsoever. Does it help the attacker hurt us anymore? Do our law enforcement partners, have they asked us to hold back any of that information for any reason whatsoever? If that information hinders any kind of investigative work that they're doing, then, you know, we would have to hold that information back, especially if it has any specifics any details on technology. If they asked us to hold that back, we would have to hold that back. And then finally, and probably most importantly, have we put up the appropriate defenses? Has our environment been restored enough that the information that we've put out, the next reaction that we get, can we withstand it? A really good example is after the first set of public information we put out, we saw a serious increase in hits on our public facing firewalls from countries of concern. And this was from the broader threat actor community, just trying to kick us while we were down. They were looking for any vulnerability they can hit on the state. And obviously our firewalls stood firm. They protected us, but that was what we had to contend with. When information got out about us doing a statewide password reset, we immediately saw phishing attempts try to hit the state that were really engineered to leverage fraudulent password reset attempts. And so we really needed to make sure that we were ready to contend with everything that got out there, that we had a defense ready to respond to it. And so what are we doing now? We've recovered. We're stronger now than we've ever been. And I can confidently say that. I've been in this organization now for quite a few years. I've been at this desk for quite some time now too. And even during this event, we made some significant changes in our infrastructure and the way that we manage identity infrastructure within the executive branch, the way that we structure identity that makes us more resilient, makes us stronger. So we had a special session immediately after, a short time after the event, that we introduced Assembly Bill 1, and we had incredibly strong, unanimous bipartisan support on that bill because we asked for help, and the legislature heard us. They answered the call. We received historic funding in cybersecurity and some significant policy changes to aid us in protecting the executive branch and beyond. And so we are continuing to drive forward on projects that support a drive towards zero trust in our network infrastructure, zero trust in our server infrastructure, to reduce lateral movement by strengthening identity controls. It used to be that in network and systems infrastructure, you'd be able to just protect the perimeter, build really strong firewalls, this big Bastillion defense, and then you'd keep all the invaders out and everything on the inside would be nice and protected. Now we can't. Everybody has mobile devices. Everybody is bouncing around. They're accessing state infrastructure from their devices at home. They're bringing stuff in. And so identity is the new firewall. And so multi-factor authentication is incredibly important. Having physical tokens is incredibly important. We're taking a page from our friends at the Department of Defense and the feds, and we're looking at PIV cards, so badges for multi-factor authentication. We have segregated our tiered identity structure to better protect some of our most critical infrastructure. And some of that most critical infrastructure is now prevented from having remote access. We're increasing our policy. We're increasing policy and controls and governance to get better visibility and control at the central IT organization of our department's inventory of not just physical assets, but also their software and other assets. The executive branch is highly federated, where departments and divisions outside of this agency have had a wide berth that can, they have a lot of flexibility, but we at least need visibility in what is going on in those departments. So we're strengthening some controls there. Assembly Bill 1 has enabled us to stand up a cybersecurity QRF. So if the governor declares a state of emergency in regards to a cybersecurity incident, myself as the CIO, I am empowered then to have IT professionals or cybersecurity professionals within the executive branch report directly to me. And so the way that we would do that in practice is I will maintain effectively a QRF made of, the best of the best from some of the agencies across the state. And I'd be able to have a influx of folks that are trained and ready on our environment within the executive branch that can be our force in readiness, that if I need to surge support any agency across the state, I'll be able to do that. And so we're really looking forward to be able to practice that. And hopefully we never have to do that for a real scenario, but to have that capability would be a real game changer for us. For additional governance and policy improvements, we're moving towards allow list based governance. Right now we have ban list, where we are only saying, hey, agencies, you can go ahead and, as long as it suits the needs of your business, buy what you need, what you want, as long as it doesn't come off of this short list of, the worst of the worst offenders on the ban list. But we're moving towards allow list-based governance. And that really just emphasizes that we need to know exactly what is on every single device, within every single agency out in the executive branch. That just really enforces our need for visibility at the central IT organization. We are looking at engaging with GovRamp, which offers us the ability to provide a third-party verification of all cloud tools that get deployed within the executive branch, and they provide ongoing security validation verification of those cloud tools moving forward. So really excited for that. And then our State Data Governance Committee just launched, we're working on launching a policy for data classification. Similar to what the federal government has with their unclassified, classified, secret, top secret, we're effectively doing the same thing with our data across the state, where we're going to just have these definitions where agencies can have a better idea of what data they have by being able to define it, to have a common definition, a common vernacular of that data, so they know what level of protection they need to provide on that data that they're creating and managing every day. So really to kind of wrap up, some of the key takeaways, federated environments like what we have raises the coordination bar. We need to practice more and more. We can put out policies all day. We can write papers all day, but unless we're getting folks together and practicing these things and building up the relationships, building up the trust amongst the agencies, it's just paper. Combined forces matter, and that really just leans on what we were able to do to recover faster than what a lot of other similarly positioned agencies across the nation, when they were victimized similarly. We brought in the Avengers. We brought in everyone we could to respond to this, and that's why we were able to recover as quickly as we did. Communications have to be disciplined, and that's exactly what we did. This could have been we could have been victimized multiple times if we weren't very disciplined with our communications. And then really focusing on identity as a really critical component of cybersecurity. And that's what we're leaning on. So with that, I'm open to any questions that the commission might have.
Thanks, Tim. Anybody have a question? Tim, I learned that we got the Avengers there. I didn't know that, so thank you for that. Any other questions? Hearing none, appreciate the presentation. Item number 6, preliminary update on state of Nevada participation in the National Guard exercise Vigilant Guard 27-2. And it looks like Mr. Compton will lead that conversation. Brett?
Brett Combs for the record. So this is an overview for the commission on Vigilant Guard 27-2. This event is a U.S. Northern Command-led exercise. The primary training in the audience is our Nevada National Guard, and the secondary audience is key state, local, federal, and private partners. The focus will be on the National Guard Joint Force Headquarters, as well as laterally to the state, as well as up to the federal government, including U.S. NORCOM. The dates for this exercise are June 3rd through the 6th, 2027. And we will be kicking off the information portion of this in a thing called Foundation Day, which is tentatively scheduled for April 28th through 29th, although I understand as of about an hour ago, those dates may shift. We will be sending out information on that to partners that have been identified to participate in this next week. So the scope of this exercise. This will be the first multi-agency, multi-level classified and unclassified homeland defense exercise in Nevada. The National Guard play will predominantly be conducted at the secret level, and the exercise will provide a complex dynamic between both secret and unclassified events and information being shared and utilized in this homeland defense scenario by players. The concept is a homeland defense event. This will include military mobilization and deployment, potential consequences from nation-state threat actors to disrupt deployments and critical infrastructure. The objectives for the state of Nevada will be to focus on continuity of government with 3 major objectives: technical communications, public communications, and logistics and supply chain resiliency. At the state and local level, our participation and integration will be focused on key agencies such as fusion centers, Nevada agencies and departments, critical counties, and utility stakeholders. In the private sector, it will be the inclusion of a business emergency operations center, the utilities, and key partner associations. There will also be an observer lane for engagement for non-participants to be able to allow them to learn about the homeland defense threat as we see it. In addition to the exercise and preparation, the state of Nevada will have several events. We will conduct 2 communications exercises, a cabinet level tabletop exercise, and quarterly emergency operations center exercises. Are there any questions on this event that's coming up? I do have Adjutant General, Brigadier General Waters here with me as well.
I don't see any questions, so we'll close that out. Move on to item number 7, the Nevada Resilience Advisory Committee, NRAC Homeland Security Grant Ranking Procedure. Right back at you, Brett.
Rick Thompson for the record. Thanks, Sheriff. Okay, so at the last NRAC meeting, super proud to report that the committee made the following recommendation. And the recommendation was for a new process on how we rank Homeland Security grants as we move into the 2026 cycle. So in this recommendation, all Homeland Security grants will now be competed every single year. There will be no more automatic renewals or categories such as maintain, enhance, or new. The Office of Emergency Management, with the governor's concurrence, will provide enduring focused investment areas for sustained capabilities that are Homeland Security specific. Examples might be fusion centers, bomb teams, cyber, and hazmat teams. And that will be released with the notice of funding opportunity. These investment areas would be Nevada specific and will be beyond the federally mandated minimum spends that come from the FEMA. Recurring requests will require a detailed sustainment and funding plan. This is the most objective way we believe that we could find to give everybody a fair shake at that money every single year. Are there any questions on this process? Because the commission will have to approve those recommendations once they're made by NRAC and the Homeland Security Finance Committee.
Hey, Sheriff, this is Billy. I have a question.
Go ahead, Chief.
Thank you, Billy Samuels. Hey, Brad, I got regarding the new projects every year. While I don't disagree with it, I think one of the challenges is trying to build out a program itself and hopefully relying on the dollars for the next year to ensure that that project, we don't spend, let's say, $200,000 on a project and it didn't have the time or the opportunity to actually show how well it could be. Does that take into account in the voting, or how are you guys going to try to look at those kind of factors? I'm not going to disagree that projects that are 20 years old probably shouldn't have to be readjusted, but I think ones that are a year old, it doesn't really give that opportunity. So what do you have for that, sir?
Yes, sir. So since every project will have to present every single year, whereas in the past, there have been years where we said, hey, you got it last year, you automatically get the money. And there was a lot of discussion about, is it a dollar base? Is it capability based? And so the NRAC's decision or recommendation there was to give everybody the fairest shake. If you have a project like you just described, or if you invested $200,000, but the time hasn't quite gone by to show the total capacity, or hasn't completed the build out, it would simply be another presentation. Hey, I've made it 60% of the way through, or 40% of the way through. I'm anticipating another $300,000 to accomplish this, and you would ask for that $300,000 in the competition. That was probably the most objective way to do it. Obviously, lots of opinions from lots of members on how to get through that. I hope that answers your question, sir.
It does. And you said NRAC, obviously, I think agreed to it. Was the UAG agreeing as well, I'm guessing?
So that was just the NRAC's last meeting. Obviously, UAG will have to talk through that when they meet.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. That's all I have, Sheriff.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, hearing none, close that, move on to item number 8, public comment. This public comment period is for any matter that is within the jurisdiction of the public body. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. Public comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person at the discretion of the chair. Comments will not be restricted based on viewpoint. I'm going to take a liberty just to mention this latest biolab incident that we had here in Las Vegas was nothing short of exceptional on the capabilities of this entire state and this first responder community down here. Every single fire department was involved, their hazmat teams. We had literally run out. I got to give special kudos to Brett Compton and General Waters there, bringing the civil support team down and bringing the one from California in. I've been involved in a lot of things over the years, and I will tell you, for an incident that we had never really dealt with of that magnitude, everybody came together and did exceptionally well. And I just wanted to say that publicly, that our first responder emergency management community was exemplary in that response. And that includes you, Fire Chief Samuels.
I just want to make sure that was on the record. Thank you.
Any other comments? We have anybody on the phone, Lauren?
No, sir, not seeing any.
Thank you very much. So I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion, Todd Fasulo.
Second,
Billy Samuels.
all in favor?